What do we see for Clubhouse? The inverse.
Yeah, well, you know what, though? This is a map we know Reciprocity know really well. So, I mean, yeah, it could go either way, but just the confidence we saw from Reciprocity. If we don't see that from Luminosity, I don't know how long this can go. Capital getting banned again, so again, we saw it the first two matches quite a bit. Now getting banned consistently here. Nomad as well, gonna fall. So that is going to help a bit with a lot of movement for the defenders in terms of being able to move around both outside of sight and inside of sight, and they'll fire to trap them now. Valkyrie gonna go as well, so it's a little bit of intel loss for the defenders, but they may still have a Maestro, Mira, or Echo to provide some extra intel here. We'll see.
Valkyrie was banned by Reciprocity last time around. It was a Mav ban, and that was done strategically against Luminosity. As was pointed out by the statistics from Siege GG, it's one of the operators that was brought by Luminosity 100% of the time. So Mira will be rounding it out, which means that once again we'll have both Echo and Maestro on the board. Every hard breacher will be allowed, and we will go to yet another very defender-sided map.
Well, advantage then to Reciprocity. No, I'm sorry, they're not starting in defense. It's the oranges on the reverse side for the moment. So it'll be LG then starting on the defense. It will be going Aviator Games. First, no tricky, let's go to Dining or Library here for the moment. So we'll see how that goes for them. As this is the standard site to defend, the better site. And this is, I mean, it's up to them to lose this. They're just going to have to be smart about it.
Defenders, protect your bombs.
See how they can do that. They're going to be bringing the dock, interestingly enough. They'll play some of those long angles along with the ACOG. I got to imagine that's going to be on Hyena as well.
Probably 3 ACOGs, actually, when you look at the fact that Slash is on the Kaid. So there's lots of long-range damage that can be done here. Rexon on the roam. Factor will likely roam on the dock too, as that's how dock is played in the current meta. You might even have him down at 90 with a bit of staying power because those stim pistols can keep you upright. It's very difficult to headshot him when you play the way that teams do at 90 around the pillar.
10 seconds left.
And then it also prevents any hard destruction from going up against the vault wall. Slash's perspective, he just exited the vault there, so you'll see that the one wall, which I will likely imagine our spectator will zoom in on at some point just to give you a good idea of what it looks like. Rec is only bringing a single hard breacher, despite despite all 3 of them being available, and 2 of them sometimes being common on Villa. It depends. There are certain teams, especially in North America, that will run a Maverick and then something, or even just a Thermite Hibana just for added, I guess, peace of mind, depending on what site.
It's useful redundancy. I mean, they work a little bit differently, but both of them can open walls, and you generally need to open walls on a lot of sites on a lot of maps. Coastline
Usually.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Like I said, Coastline the one exception, but this one, yeah. I mean, Maverick was definitely a big favorite at first for this map, you know, when he was introduced. Seems to have fallen off a little bit. A lot of people favoring Hibana or Thermite, depending on which site you're fighting and how you're trying to open those walls. But good on Vertical, getting all the way in here, taking over Astronomy, just trying to push from behind here, taking over a trophy as well. Rexon just backing up his teammate Factor downstairs here. This is a little bit of an extra roam play, but question is, do they know where the players actually are playing at? Or are they just looking to keep the floor clear? He's not sure how much intel they actually have. Rexon hoping for a free pick and not getting one either. Looking like Reciprocity just getting all the map control they want for free, assuming that the 2 players downstairs don't come up just right behind them.
You can't control those main stairs when you're attacking Aviator Games. Things can go south for you very, very quickly. In this instance, it's going to be incumbent upon the 2 players down below, as you mentioned. And if there's no roam clear that's been done from Reciprocity, which I would be surprised with, given the way that Rec's been playing so far, well, that could prove to be quite a problem. Evil Eye taken out at the top of the main stairs, or at least disabled for the time being. The Kaid and Nyx will do some damage, but as you can see, Hyena's knocked the camera looking skyward, so it can't be disabled quite as easily. Also, it looked like Nyx was on 1 HP, but he'll be reset now. Expend the Maestro Cam, why don't you? 1 minute left, and Rec have taken out just an Evil Eye, that's it. Doc's head spotted by Vertical, but for some reason he doesn't land the shots. He'll let Foxay do it instead. Try to stay alive in order for them to be able to open up the vaults. Just riding alongside Foxay, and it sounds like there's an impact that's going to go up. And now another round of X-Kairos.
Wow.
think the Kaid Electric Claw will actually work there. Either that or it was the impact. This is going to be a major challenge. If Foxy can drop down a grenade, there it goes. The Zofia self-stun under Reciprocity, and they have struggled mightily to open up that one vault panel. They've done so, but they don't have any more hard destruction that seems to be readily available. That's going to be the problem for them. Still, you got the Kaid playing inside a vault, and if Foxy doesn't see it, well, they're just going to get mowed down. Just as Hyena did. And another for him as he picks up 2 to start off map number 1. Say goodbye to Nyx as well as Retro. Vertical's dropped as he takes down Factor. Finished off by Doodle. This is a good hold for the time being by Luminosity. They only need one more to finish it. And it's Foxy with the diffuser. He'll creep up to the toxic canister and he just waits. Why not? You're not going anywhere. You're not getting in there and you're not getting out alive. First round's going to go to Luminosity here on Villa.
Definitely a lot of it due to that vault wall defense. You saw how much effort was being made by Reciprocity to open up that vault wall. The fact that it was denied as long as it was and really forced a lot of utility. That and the Maestro cam at the top of the stairs, just those kind of missteps from Reciprocity in terms of trying to get their sort of checklist done just burned a lot of time and also burned a lot of utility, left Reciprocity a tough spot to be able to actually make that push happen. It was well played by LG, and they also just didn't overextend themselves. I mean, yes, they had the 2 roamers, but the 2 roamers seemed to be able to get away with their plays because they didn't really run into members of Reciprocity in opportune times. So overall, I mean, good on Luminosity, just playing that smarter. Now they've got to go to a different bomb site, though. This one can be a little bit harder to play as turtled up as Aviator Games because you've got sort of a split site with a big kind of skylight in the middle between Trophy and Statuary. And then, of course, you've got to deal with Astronomy and Master Bedroom being 2 areas you really have to hold off from pretty well. And if you can't, it becomes a lot more difficult to defend the site. Of course, we saw how much of a struggle it was to open a wall when they were able to impact Trick it well. So we could see a similar situation here, unless if my eyes don't deceive me, they actually left the wall soft in the Master Bedroom and opened up some holes in it, though, which is definitely very interesting. So apparently Luminosity is one of the strongest Villa's defense teams in the tournament. That might have been part of their stats earlier, why we saw they win so often on it, just being really good at defense.
A bomb has been located.
If a team is winning 76% of your defenses on Villa, you're looking at a 6-round split. You're winning 4-2, maybe 5-1, depending on how good your matches are. Because you're gonna have worse matches, you're gonna have better matches. So yeah, that's pretty standard. I feel like on Villa, even though there are certain teams that seem to excel more on attack. There's certain operators you can bring that make Villa much easier to attack. We see Doka be played an awful lot. Gridlock can be utilized. Nomad, of course, really strong, though she's banned. Same with Capitao, who's also banned. So I think those were smart choices by both Rec and Luminosity to take out 2 very powerful operators that are in the meta when it comes to the way that Villa works. It was a slow attack from Rec, and they got caught up on that one vault wall, but they're going to get a good start this time by taking down none other than Factor, who was down below being supported by Rexon. I don't know if there was support this time or not, but it's not enough to help out the Mozzie at all.
It's a good early kill, too, is that it looks like that would probably be their only C4 available. Also, of course, if he'd captured any drones, could have moved them around. Now can't do that. Of course, they could still provide a little bit of intel depending on where they're facing. But that's a great early pick, I think. I mean, the next best thing would have been the Maestro, but Rexon does manage to get one back onto the Thatcher. Hopefully they didn't need any of those EMPs, because it's certainly not going to have them now. So he gets caught off guard, trying to, I think, enter into study here.
Extremely aggressive from Rexon. He's got a lot of confidence, but it pays off on the Retro as Foxy's dropped from Slash as well. So 2 very, very fast pieces of action for Luminosity. I don't know if Vertical has any information as to where the remaining members of Luminosity are, but he's going to make an awful lot of noise, and he's almost in the sights of Rexon. And you're dead. So it's all Laxing in a 4v1. 3 kills for Rexon. Laxing's going to do what he does best. He's just going to sit down there and they're going to talk. So the final 40 seconds or so will be Reciprocity getting everything in order and essentially a timeout here. We've seen Rec do this quite an awful lot. And with Diffuser miles away, Laxing knows that it's unwinnable, so 2-0 for Luminosity. Give time for both Nyx and Foxy to discuss things while Laxing just sits. What do you think was the big thing for that round in particular between Luminosity and Rec?
Rexen, for sure. It's just catching them off guard with their pants down. I think Luminosity are doing a great job reading into where the attack's coming from, and you got to blame some of the droning. Just their inability to anticipate these defenders. Players like Rex would be able to play positions like that. I think they're taking certain parts of the map for granted. They're thinking, there's not going to be anyone here, I can walk in here. Or, hey, we don't need a drone here, we're droning other parts of the map. And they're not controlling areas. They're not getting in, taking map control, and holding off rotates. Now, obviously, there's a lot of rotates on this map. This is actually a fairly big map in terms of, rotatability. Obviously, you don't get a lot of people down in the very far basement, but it's still a decent map for roamers to be able to play around it. And just the inability for Reciprocity to control that, absolutely backfiring on them. Yeah, they didn't necessarily get caught as bad by it the first round, but they still didn't do really any good roam clear the first round either. I mean, they managed to get one kill. Retro got the one kill early on, and it looked like they were going to be able to control it, but just no real follow-up to that. I'd like to see just Reciprocity just do a much better job of securing their positions, of making sure they either hunt the roamer or lock the roamers out.
So, you're flawless so far, and you can complete the rotation now, as we saw Reciprocity do on Clubhouse. For LG, they can do the same this time around, but on Villa and on Kitchen.
Yeah. I mean, we did see Living Room a little bit earlier, could potentially still see that, but it's certainly not usually a favorable sight. Dining is definitely a good one, and I'd say sometimes better than Trophy, depending on how you're playing it and what the bans are and things like that. But there is a bit of vertical play to be had. So that's going to be an interesting component that we don't see as much on the top 2 bomb sites. So you could see a little bit of play of that. If they're able to take from above, start to open up some angles down. There's a lot of movement room in the dining room area to be able to kind of move around, find different angles, play from there. A lot of potential for smoke plays as well. We saw some of that earlier from SSG come out to be able to try and set it for plants, things like that. It's a lot of possibility here, but they've got to control those roamers. You've got Hyena and Rexen playing a bit off-site, able to just kind of do what they want. Not upstairs. That's the interesting thing is LG's not looking to control the upstairs. That's something Reciprocity can take advantage of, but they need to actually secure their flanks. If you take upstairs and then don't secure your flanks, you're just giving free retake to upstairs. So they've got to pay attention to where these players, maybe just good flank drones at this point. So if they lose someone, that can be that person on flank drone.
Looks like you've got 4 members of LG playing on the main floor. Now all 5 as Slash has been recalled, and they're just sitting a little bit off-site as Rexen and Hyena, but Doodle, Factor, and Slash all seem to be decently nearby. Within striking distance, I think you could say, and I think it's very apt as well, because LG will likely need to strike when Reciprocity pushes in. That means that barring any information that you might have on Luminosity's side, they don't really have any information gathering operators. There's not a major contest up top at all.
I'm honestly surprised we're not seeing like a Jackal. We used to see that so much from
why?
That's why they didn't need to control upstairs from upstairs, I suppose. C4 doing that work for them. That also does open up a hole that can be used against them afterwards, though.
As Nick's getting off the bed at the last second, and the C4 from Factor putting in work.
Good timing. Definitely could have caught him too early while he was on the bed and would have done nothing.
The only C4 on the board for Luminosity as well. Kaid still has his impact grenades, if you recall. We've also seen Retro get downed. I'm not certain what happened with Retro, but he's out of the equation for the time being. So he's probably fallen off. Maybe he went for a reset, I'm not sure. Tough situation for him to find himself in. Utility expended from Fox, eh? I think it's almost a free kill on the Factor. It's Doodle who claims laxing. Retro's been picked back up, 50 seconds to go. And Rec are just not the same team right now. Very good defensive hold for Luminosity. They haven't given up too much. They've used one C4, but that's been about it.
Attackers have located
Factor inside of the bike room. He can get back to the site quickly if need be. The 3 remaining members of Rec will have to funnel on in. They're going to be playing Luminosity's game as well. Their utility is mostly all gone. If they can get a pick or 2 here, it'll go very quickly in their favor. But no, almost a flawless round, 4-1, as Vertical going up against Doodle will win the fight. Pistol out, he'll have to engage 25 HP against 4 members of Luminosity. He'll get a drop, but he won't get the kill as he needs it. And 3 in a row for Luminosity. Impressive performance and almost a flawless round for them as well. The cycle is complete, and we're almost certainly going to Aviator Games for round number 4.
I mean, I don't think that's going to be the last cycle given the way things have been going so far. And it looks like they're going to continue the tour. Just, I mean, really, really good defenses here. It seems like Reciprocity are fighting pretty much no weaknesses. They're not finding any place they can attack. Really solidly, they're finding a pick here or there, and that's about it. Seems like every time it's either traded back or there's such a large gap before the next kill comes in that it ends up being in LG's favor because they're not really setting up well to, I guess, really point a spearhead into the defense here. I mean, we saw them trying to set up around kitchen and dining room to try and push in from some point. But the fact that they weren't able to really find an opening to do that from, or enough picks to be able to soften up the site to set that up, really speaks to the way LG just seemed pretty much in their stride here in terms of holding these defenses. We saw them do a bit better on defense on Clubhouse than they had on attack as well. So if Reciprocity could just make sure they get just enough rounds on their attack when side switch, I think they could also be in a good position to be able to bring it back, given defense's a favoritism on this particular map.
Good time for a tactical timeout here. Rec not using it too late. There's that pattern, as you mentioned in the previous map, of teams taking it right at the 11th hour. It's do or die, so let's do it.
Yeah.
And then they die. Doesn't always work out for them as effectively as they'd like. I like being able to hit the pause button here. There's a theory behind it, right? Because Villa's defender sided, we already know this. You know that you're going to find yourself in a hole, and it was actually Slash who was in an interview a couple months back, maybe longer, where he said, you know, on Villa, if you start on attack and you go down 5-1, you know that the match is nowhere near over with the way that Villa plays, but mentally, it's a challenge to get back in the game, knowing if we slip up once, we're staring down match point. If we slip up twice, it's over.
Yeah.
It's a mental game at that point. And I think when you look at these two teams, the team that has the mental fortitude, mental dexterity, the sentences or the phrases that we love to use, I'm going to have to give some credit to Rec for. Yeah. They're a team that's been together longer. They're a team that has seen, I would say, a greater breadth of experience. Slash is somebody who can rein the team in, the leader, the dad of the team on Luminosity. But the rest of the squad has only played a handful of LANs together, which is still impressive given how new that team is. I still have fond memories of back when they were the 92 Dream Team, and a lot of people thought they were just nothing but a meme. The team is coming off a long way now. But still, Rec is the team that has that experience in spades. Take a breather if you're Rec. Get it together. You got 3 rounds on attack. You know that statistically you're probably not going to do super well on them, but then you're going to swap sides.
Yeah.
So you'll have the advantage of being on defense. You can start to win those rounds back.
I mean, really, I think at this point, just Reciprocity need to calm down, be methodical, drone, and communicate. If they could do that, they know how to hit their shots. They just have to do those steps to line those shots up first. You saw the drone coming out. Mozzie doing a little bit of work to stall that out a little bit, but they will try and avoid that pest as best they can. It is going to try and help clear that out. And there we go, Rexon, though, turning it around on him, and then Factor following it up on a Nyx. Him and Vertical both falling. That is a lot of utility off the board. They still have their hard breacher, but at this point, it doesn't look like that timeout really helped Reciprocity here.
No, not when you lose 2 bodies that early on. It's only a minute in, and Reciprocity in free fall. They'll have to course correct over the next little while. More importantly, it's that they've lost Vertical, who's been very good so far, and Nyx as well, who will ride the pine for the time being. Remind me to stop saying for the time being.
I'll remind you for the time being.
Thank you. For the time being, I should stop saying. You're welcome. You've still got Laxing and Fox A, both of whom were able to carry some of the weight in map number 1, but you can't lose confidence of your Reciprocity. And I feel like mentally this round is not over, but it's hard to come back from this. Foxy taking some damage from the Evil Eye. You've only got 1 Hard Destructor left. There's a C4 that sails overhead as they exchange explosives. The grenade goes in, doesn't find its intended target, but neither does the C4.
I mean, they know where they're at this point, that they're going to be playing on 90. They're still going to focus on trying to get this gun vault wall open, and it's still going to be problematic for them. Slash tries his best to stop it, but only able to stop some of the X-Kairos here. However, they didn't have the Thatcher to be able to help with that. They just don't have all the utility they had before. And trying to do the same attack again, it just isn't working. All it's doing is burning up time for them. Fox at least finding Doodle, though, trying to even this up. And then Fox following it up with a second. Looks good, but he gets slaughtered by Factor.
Double swing onto Fox A is not something that you'd imagine happening all the time, but why not? You can take those gambles. Retro knows that there's the shotgun of the Mozzie playing behind the bar, but that's a tough shot to make and will be incumbent upon the Mozzie peeking, who doesn't really need to. You'll put some pressure on him by opening up the wall, and the Mozzie will reposition. Don't know if he's got a C4 ready or if he's already used it.
15 seconds to go.
Laxing almost able to get the kill onto the Mozzie. Factor under heavy watch. Slash jumps up, guns down Laxing, and he'll pick up the second. And Luminosity obviously very happy with that one. Timeout or no timeout, doesn't really matter. It's another round on the board for LG.
It's their attack strats just are not working, especially the one for that bomb site. I mean, it's good for them that they can't play Aviator 2 times in a row, but the fact that they haven't really been able to do anything better on either of the other 2 bomb sites, it is not going well. Like you said, that mental game, but that's never a position you want to be in. You don't want to have to pep yourself up to slog through 5 lost rounds just to make it into the other side. But on the plus side, they won the first map pretty handily. That's going to give them some motivation. They know they can do it. They can come back. I mean, this is a team that also used to really only win in super overtimes. Like they would win at the the 15th hour. They managed to pull it out. So they do know how to make it through and not give up. But they also have 2 new members to the team that may or may not share that same fortitude that they're going to have to pick up. They're going to have to be like, Vertical, Nyx, we could do this. You motivate them. I don't know how that's going. We can't hear the comms, but I can't be a happy-go-lucky conversation at this point after 4 rounds lost in a row.
And nobody on Rec really looks elated, obviously, to be in the position they're in. They shouldn't, given that, they're trailing on their map as well.
Yeah.
But that was one thing that I always wondered about a team like Reciprocity, when they had Mark and Skies on the team. Who was the leader that pulled them back from the brink?
Yeah.
And now, with both Vertical and Nyx on that squad, do you see in either of those a leader who's going to be able to pull them back from the brink? Either. And the question is maybe, but I don't know if that position has been established yet because they're still trying to get used to role swaps. They're trying to get used to new players and obviously a changing in comms and strats, etc.
Yeah.
So I'm not entirely sure who it's going to be. Nyx doesn't seem like the type of person to lose faith, and if he is one of the people doing the primary calling, then it's going to be his job to ensure that that team doesn't lose focus.
At least he does come across as a bit of a calm voice, and that might help here. But he's also got jobs to do, and he dropped out early last round. Yeah, that does give you the opportunity to do a bit more shot calling as you are dead at that point. But that doesn't always get you the win. I mean, you just ask Canadian who often was in that position.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Hey, he did well
that
earlier.
hurt.
He did well earlier. We're fine.
He did well earlier. Yeah, he didn't bottom frag. Nope, golf clap. Doodle cornered inside of the walk-in closet, and he's got 2 separate members of Reciprocity that are nearby, one of whom is on drones. Nick's waiting to see if that Doodle's smoke will peak, but for now, no, he won't. Almost said for the time being, no, myself. You're welcome. Don't even need to remind me. But if there's any soft destruction to be had, well, the Buck is going to be there to chew through it. Foxy's not going to do much for the time being. There goes a smoke, toss out a grenade, it lands, does a little bit of damage to Doodle, who's inside of his own smoke, as the Buck of Foxy is going to take damage. Slash also playing around the shield. This is a good position for him to be in. Doodle sprays on out, some of that Buck shot connecting. A vault on in, and Slash finds one, looking to see if there'll be another that'll push from Master side. 2 for LG, with Laxing being able to take down Rexon, but Hyena trades it off. There's Factor as well with the Super Shorty. It's a deceptively strong gun that's not just good for some site remodeling. This hold from LG inside of Master and inside of Closet is unchallenged right now. Nobody from Reciprocity seems to have much of an answer for it. Vertical sprints in, Foxy's there, it's a 2v2, and just like that, it's Factor and Hyena, neither of whom were inside of Master or over towards the bathroom side. But both Fox and Vertical, very limited HP. Vertical, by the way, withstands, gets right back up, he'd been downed, so he's got 5 HP left to play with.
That's not a whole lot. At least he's not the defuse carrier, but Fox not much more health than that. I mean, at this point, Hyena might try and heal them with his non-stim pistol here. Fox not long for this world if he tries to peek at the wrong moment against that ACOG as well.
Foxy inside a Master. He's going to have to head through the bathroom, as I don't believe there's been enough hard destruction done on that wall. He gets taken out by Hyena. And now Vertical, with only those 5 pieces of HP, will have to find the remaining 2 members of Luminosity. His position's somewhat given away, and Hyena gets a little bit too overzealous with that trigger finger.
Located by attackers.
Doesn't have much to do to find Vertical. And you can see Luminosity up 5-0 now. This is a rout. Very anticlimactic finish. LG is just all over Rec. Now, like we said, we know that Villa is typically a defender-sided map, but a 5-0 is something we don't see all that much of, and 6-0s in particular are not very common.
Especially after LG just got crushed pretty heavily on Clubhouse. So going into this, they shouldn't have really had the motivation, but this is such a good map for them. I guess it really brought them alive, and some early victories, really doing a good job morale-wise, and the opposite really it seems for Reciprocity. Like you said, that slog, definitely a problem, but when you're on match point and you switch sides, that's a whole different ballgame. You can't make any mistakes, or it's map 3. The upside, at least for Reciprocity, is they know they secured map number 1, so the worst that can happen is they have to play a third map. But you never want to do that. That's why we saw so many 2-0s early, that no one wants to play. Even if it goes to 15 rounds, you don't want to go to a third map. So they're definitely going to be looking to bring this back, but it might be too little too late. 1 round on attack isn't really going to give you a whole lot. You still, like you said, are 2 rounds away from losing the map at that point. That's 2 mistakes you can't afford to make. And mistakes will definitely happen, as obviously there was a few mistake rounds on Clubhouse as well. They were able to get 3 on their side for Luminosity, so it's going to be rough here, but we are going to see a little bit extra roam presence with Factor on Vigil this time.
10 seconds to
and
go.
The droning wall, it wasn't really stellar from Reciprocity in the first place. It's certainly going to be much more difficult when there's an operator who's invisible to those drones.
Attacker's objective is to locate a bomb.
I think that not only has Rec been in free fall, but I think that a victory here for Luminosity on this round will be it. I do not see Rec coming back after that. Oh, not after that one. In Factor, all smiles after a spawn B gone relaxing. And I think you very firmly embedded yourself under the skin of Rec, who are now without the IQ. What do you even do in this position? You got to take some time and try to figure out what you do next.
I almost feel like at this point they're going to take more time. Just like go sit and spawn and plan for borders, because this is just really not going their way. I mean, yeah, maybe things will change when they switch sides. Maybe they can have a full sweep. We've seen some pretty strong sweeps in the past of this game. It's certainly possible, but it's tough.
I really like what we've seen from Luminosity with these new deployable shields being set up so, I guess, present, so forward to the doorways and the regular points of entry. One of Vertical's lifelines are going to get caught by that ADS, so you'll have to go back to the drawing board. A bunch of windows opened up means that you need to be very wary of somebody from Luminosity taking advantage of you having your back turned. It's a tough spot to be in if you're Rec. Not only losing Laxing early to Luminosity, who threw 6 rounds as 5 of the opening picks, but additionally that your utility has been dwindling away. And LG just seems to be fired up. And after that loss on... I was going to say, he didn't... I was like, you can't shoot frag grenades. I was like, what the... I think he thought it was a drone.
Certainly with a try.
Foxay will push up now after the frag grenade blows open the doorway very intently, and will Toby eye-track just his singular position, picking away around the bomb chassis. It's Slash, but doesn't do much to him. Shotgun up close and personal as Vertical finds Factor. Foxay flying blind for the time being. Does quite a substantial bit of damage. Can't get collapsed upon as Doodle eliminates Vertical. Frag grenade almost primed and ready. Put away as Team Reciprocity are slaughtering LG. And oh no, down goes Nyx too. It's a 1v2 with Hyena now to push us to match point. Not series point, of course, because Reciprocity does hold map number 1. Hyena working back in towards the site. And he's not going to get anywhere. Rec finally put one on the board. Hope's trying to give the morale that his team desperately needs. And now, they'll switch sides. Rec will go on defense, and how successful will they be on this stead?
Well, certainly a good time to carry momentum. If you're going to win a round on the attack and it's only 1 round, better to be the one right before you switch sides when you really need to roll that momentum the most. But they're just going to have to be very cautious here because, like you said, 2 mistakes is all they're afforded before it goes to map 3. And, you know, LG could be tricky, play some unexpected ways. This is a good map for them. And Reciprocity are going to have to not get over-aggressive. We saw the patience of a lot of LG players paying off. And, I mean, yeah, they got a bit more aggressive towards the end when that confidence really kind of boosting them into, you know, let's take some risks kind of positions that did somewhat pay off. But they are going to be bringing a Lion and a Jackal, something we did not see from Reciprocity. So that's an interesting twist here in that they're really going to try and lock down those roamers. Obviously, the Nomad being banned, that's not an option to do that. Gridlock is available as well, but Lion and Jackal do a pretty good job of locking this down quite a bit, and roam play should be difficult. I got to imagine we're most likely to see it from Laxing and Fox. just based off the operators they're playing. But Vertical also could be on that Rome Jaeger. So you never really know. They're definitely going to have to wipe their feet and watch out for Rexon. Try and hunt them down. Laxing at least will be able to stop some droning with the Mozzie pests. But the ability to track feet is not affected by that, so something that will work in their advantage. We'll see how well timed the Lion charges are, though, is those can be wasted pretty easily. They are powerful, but really important to time them well at this high level of play.
We're gonna waste no time with it at all as Rexon sprints on in and edges his way up very closely to the barricaded walls. Now this is a defense on the first floor, but the bomb site itself is actually up top. So waste as much time as you can. I believe they call this the Yo Boy Roy strategy, which is where you reinforce the opposite bomb site and you just simply bamboozle your opponents. It's a bold strategy. Very, very bold strategy here. What I will say about the Jackal Lion pick, though, as you touched upon, is this is just, it's nasty. It's not fun to play against. It's not easy to play against. And Luminosity are looking for the knockout punch. Get them mad, get under their skin. You've already been doing that. Maybe sideline them mentally and then just abuse the fact that you got Lion and Jackal on them.
Yeah. I mean, we saw how effective Dokkaebi was for Bosco earlier.
Dokkaebi is particularly effective on this map. First kill is going to go to Laxing, guns down Factor, but he trades it off as Rexing manages to find the kill needed. The buck is down, you trade it for a Mozzie. I like that from Rec. I think they win that first encounter.
Yeah, the Jackal still being alive, though, is still managing to ping Legion. And so that's Fox going to have to worry about this. And that will only last a limited amount of time. And then, of course, the R2E1D's left as well to try and lock him down. He's just got to be in a smart position that really forces them to waste time when they go to hunt him down. Looks like he has gone downstairs a bit as well. So I think Rex is just giving up and going to cut off the stairs, potentially instead of hunting him down further. See how well that works out. But Fox is a tricky devil, so he could come up at just the right time here to make that work. But there's still a fair bit of time here left for Luminosity, whole minute 10.
EMP incoming.
So it appeared to be maybe some counter play onto the hard breach as Lion and Jackal work together, and down goes Vertical, who was rushing, and then the E1D hit at the same time that you were being trackled by the Jackal. Not a fun spot to be in if you're Vertical, and I think any player worth their salt know how unenjoyable that is to have to deal with. 2 rounds of X-Kairos opening up enough of an entryway in towards the second bomb site. Rexon has possible control of 90, but he doesn't want to go with it at all. Finally, E1D will go. Nobody will take the bait whatsoever. There's no mute from Reciprocity, so they will just need to stand still. Slash on the stairs, dawdling for the time being, absorbing some damage as Rexon is in the smoke, and he's trying to persevere as he hits the deck and just crawls his way through it. Slash takes out Fox A pre-fire from Rexon onto the vault, and Hyena finds Retro, Nix's last up, and he gets taken out by Hyena, and it's match point for Luminosity. They're very happy about that one.
Well played. I mean, like you said, getting under their skin a bit with that Lion-Jackal combo, it did come down to a lot of trades at the end in terms of Luminosity coming a little bit ahead, and some of that was due to some of those early kills, but also just, that's what I mean about really securing your flanks and things like that. They were able to do that and just bring it down to site fights at the end because they had the Lion-Jackal to really seal the deal in terms of getting map control, getting to that point where they could fight it out, and they won. And that's definitely the place to be because now it's 6-1. If you thought Reciprocity won strong on map 1, if this goes now to LG, that is a much, much better defeat on Reciprocity's map. And that puts LG in a pretty good spot going into border. We'll see, though, how their trophy defense goes here. They're going to switch off from Aviator. It just did not work. They could play it again, but they're just going to go to trophy here. This is a tricky site. I do like the way that LG defended it, the way they would open up the master wall, play a bit in there as well as bathroom, things like that. Just a bit more of a aggressive perimeter in terms of guarding to make sure that Statuary didn't really get swarmed with attackers. And there wasn't actually a lot of pressure a lot of times on Astronomy as well, and they were able to hold from there. I wonder if we'll see something similar. We certainly aren't going to see the same defense in terms of they are reinforcing the wall in the master bedroom. So we'll see if they can play it well. They do have the Kaid to be able to help with that wall, to be able to try and stop it from entering, as well as Laxing on the Bandit. But it looks like he's actually going to be playing over in Aviator games potentially. It's a little bit different strategy, using the batteries on the wall to kind of block it into study. We'll see if he's actually going to play it, but he has set that up at least. Rexon going to be on that Jackal again. The Jackal line combo coming out for what could be the last round. They want to see if they can just snap it shut here.
Snap it shut. I don't want to see it. Not even in my peripherals. Few people will get that reference. Stokes will get it.
I'm going to pull a Kicks here and not get your reference.
That's fine. Kicks does. I'm very accustomed to people not getting my references. I don't think Kicks has ever seen any type of media in his life. So, that's fine. Still going with what worked last time around, Luminosity. Reciprocity running with something very similar as well. So neither of these teams really giving an inch in terms of actual composition. Ooh. Fox does find Rexon, so I don't know if he was baited in or not, but Rexon giving the nice shot and Fox A saying, thank you. You don't get to see the chat, but we can.
Yeah.
Apologies.
We relay it to you.
Yeah, we'll try to...
That way it's censored.
We'll try to transcribe it.
Safety first. Well, that was a really good initial kill, though. We saw how effective Jackal was last round. This grenade attempt here, unfortunately not doing anything.
Not even the Jackal, but also smokes. If you want to pull off and execute on Trophy Statuary and you want to try to maybe cut off Astro or cut off any part of the actual statuary side of things and make them have to fight you from Trophy or vice versa, then those smokes are crucial. You're now going to have to work with just the paralysis that comes from an EE1D. And I mean, you've got frag grenades on the board, or at least you did, as Laxing comes alive and takes out Factor. Laxing has been very quiet through most of this map. If he wakes up, that could be a difference maker, even as dire as it seems for Rec right now.
Well, Laxing, ever the roamer in terms of just kind of doing his own thing and bringing it back when time is needed. If we see a second pick from him, I could really see this round going pretty easily to Reciprocity. And with Laxing having the freedom to do so, it's just on the other players on the site to really hold down the site as tight as they can. The E1D coming out to try and help with that. It does help take down Vertical. Just the kills there, 5 with 2.
So over inside of Astro, though, is Retro. So Slash already responsible for 2 kills. He's got an EE1D left. I don't know if he expects a push from the stairs. Both of the members of Team Reciprocity are playing inside of Astro right now. The diffuser is a mile away, and one of them will surely be watching. This is going to be very challenging. Slash could pull off the clutch of his life, or it'll be a deflating end, and that'll be it. He'll go for a plant. I don't know if he's getting marked. It certainly seems like he's being marked over and over again. He'll pop off instead, and yeah, he's getting spam marked at this point. There's an Evil Eye still up, but he knows he's powerless against it. So he just goes for broke. But no, you don't have the information. You got nothing in your pocket. There's really no way out for Slash. And Rec will win yet another. That's 2 rounds for them over the last 3, but they're going to need a lot more in order to keep this one close. Still match point for LG.
I got to credit some of that to Fox. Getting the early pick there on the Jackal gave Laxing the freedom to roam around. That's the kind of initial picks they need, or at least deny him as much as possible, because having the freedom Laxing had to move around like that really helped things out, not just with the kill, but also with map control denial from below. They weren't able to really control much of the map, not to mention being a bit of man down, but great plays by Slash on the line, getting the 2-piece and not just being a global spam button. Just good utility there. I mean, the gun, though, is very good. We tend to underrate Lion's gun sometimes in terms of...
It's a really good gun.
It is.
Does decent damage, good rate of fire, lots of bullets, minimal recoil. The gun itself is particularly strong, and I think that was a very legitimate gripe people had.
Yeah.
At one point, you know, it's not even that he's a bad gun. Give him just a pistol when he was in his, I guess, his release form.
Yeah.
And just a pistol, and I still think he's pretty darn good.
Yeah, well, in Slash's hand seems to be doing pretty well, but unfortunately that wasn't enough for the last round. But they're going to continue with that. I mean, why not? I mean, outside of Rexon dying early that last round, it's been working pretty good, the Jackal Lion combo. So might as well continue it. They are going to have Factor on the Ash this time for potentially a little bit of aggression, or the old crouch walk around the map strat, which doesn't work as well.
A little bit of column A, maybe a little bit of column B.
Yep, and it certainly is a good mix up there. You go fast when you need to go fast, and crouch spam the rest.
The fact that we don't see another Aviator defense for Reciprocity obviously would lead most people to believe that they're not very comfortable with it. I would be inclined to agree with that argument. Now, the problem is that if you're Reciprocity and you win here on Kitchen, where do you go? You have to go up to Aviator.
Yep.
And if you're not comfortable there, then yeah. I mean, I guess you could. I mean, that is technically a viable place to go.
It's not recommended.
I would say that you're probably more comfortable going to Aviator, but we've seen Stranger Things before, right?
Yeah, all seasons.
Drone's ready.
Interesting wooden barricade there to slow things down. There's some good discussion about that earlier, how wooden barricades can be pretty useful for at least sound in terms of identifying where they're going. I feel like Canadian's one of the people who uses those the most in terms of setting those up for positions to help his roam or to be able to identify where people are coming from. But that didn't lead to any engagements, just a little bit extra intel for the defenders. So far, though, they are having to play back a little bit because they got to worry about the footprints, right? They've got to be cautious of where they step because Rexon is still alive. There's another wooden barricade there to help out, try and delay as much as possible. They really...
I call this one the chapstick strategy because there was one time where I can't remember what video it was in. He said that the real strat to winning is to barricade every single door.
It certainly slows things down. Yeah. Throw a castle in there as well.
We call it the chapstick strat.
We're putting that in the book.
It's been a long time, and it's definitely going to date us. 2 for Vertical on both Hyena and Doodle, both headshots as well. Can't really do much to try and combat that. EOD gets burned, I suspect, as an answer, and that's Diffuser surrendered as well. Vertical will be the gatekeeper. Inside of the barbed wire, giving some noise, but Factor still hears it, whether he hears it or not. He's good enough to get the shot. Dragging across from the top of Astro stairs to the bathroom, but there's nobody from Luminosity, or rather Reciprocity, to re-peek. There's Laxing to gun down Slash, so LG will need to come up with something a little bit different because they have no answer in this particular round. They're still able to come back. Rexon and Factor are 2 great players. They've got a C7E and an R4C in hand. There's still smokes for Rexon as well, and they have full utility at their disposal, but they don't have access to the diffuser. This might be a mighty challenge. Footprints being gathered, and down goes Factor as Retro peaks, and almost a perfect round from Reciprocity, were it not for Vertical sacrificing himself upstairs. Keep in mind, Rec took their timeout in round number 4. We are now heading into round number 10, and they seem to have found some life, and once again, this could just be the way that it plays out when it comes to Villa. Trophy and Kitchen successful. Can we see a 3rd in a row for Rec?
I mean, maybe they needed the pressure on. Maybe they needed to be at match point to really feel enough to come back. Obviously, they've got to get 3 more in a row, though, to stay alive in this map, to take it to overtime, because they can't just straight out win at 7 now that, or since LG are at 6. So we are going to see a timeout from Luminosity now to go, how can we win 1 more round, guys, and go to map 3? Can we stop goofing up? And, you know, some of that's just due to the roamers. People like Laxing, people like Vertical, just not accurately clearing them out, not pressuring them or pinching them well enough. Vertical with the nice 2-piece that last round really opened things up. Yeah, maybe he died after that, but he also did a bit of damage. You saw the Ash as well, taking a bit of damage in the fight. Barbed wire unfortunately worked against him, as you mentioned, a little bit. But nonetheless, that kind of opening was what you needed. They were able to just completely capitalize off man advantage. I feel like if Reciprocity can get the first pick, they can take these rounds, but they've got to get that first pick. If they get a man deficit, they're really not doing so hot in these rounds, especially having Aviator games now where they've got to go, as you said. We're not going to see them go to library or living room. It's just not a great sight. I mean, like I said, we saw it earlier, but it's not a great sight.
Do you possibly gamble on that library living room downstairs, a site that a lot of teams aren't prepped for, either on attack or on defense, and then you lose it? Because remember, there's no room for error here if you're Reciprocity. You don't have the luxury of going down there and saying, you know, we blew it, whatever, we're fine. Yeah. You cannot fudge it up. You can't. So you have to go somewhere where you have a bit more experience. That's obviously going to be Aviator Games, which holds the title of being the most familiar and most favored site when it comes to...
Otherwise known as bestest. But it certainly wasn't for them the first time around.
The bestest ever around.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a really great site. And I mean, new operators and things like that haven't changed that too much. It's all down to how you execute on it. And we saw a Live Jackal combo really good helping with that. And we saw Reciprocity also had a lot of trouble attacking it. They really struggled on trying to open the vault and things like that. Slash this time foregoing the line instead of 6-picking over to the Dokkaebi. So still just trying to be as annoying as possible to Reciprocity. Certainly going to try. Says, I got your number. Let me check here on my phone. Certainly going to try. At least Rexon's still on the Jackal as well.
Is it a banana phone?
It certainly might be.
I apologize to all the people that now have that song.
I do now.
Yeah, it's
tragic, really.
Yeah, bring.
I think if the players might have been able to hear you, they would not be able to focus any longer.
No, I feel like Twitch chat is probably not happy either for the people that are watching. So, oh well, you're gonna have to deal.
At least it's not Country Road.
Why would you do that? All right, well. 30 seconds eclipsed on what is still going to be match point and will be until we hit overtime, should we require it. And it's going to be a second Aviator defense for Reciprocity. They have little room for error. Rather, no room for error. I guess little is underselling it just a little bit. LG were successful here last time. And
looks like they didn't have a call yet.
I believe there is a button to fix this, and it is F.
Yeah, this is the tension maker here. This is really gonna make it so everyone on the edge of their seats at this point, as I don't know if we're gonna be able to resume. Looks like headsets coming off here. We might have a need for a rehost potentially, depending on how this goes down here. Do you see the clock still ticking away though?
The clock always runs.
Yeah, it certainly does.
The clock always runs.
So we'll see.
Unfortunate set of circumstances, things that we don't really have an answer to, but just in case we need to, there will be some people to dive on in and discuss it. Now, this is effectively a tactical timeout. LG took one, and was the previous round, and both teams are going to have a couple moments to just discuss what they want to do, and you can already see Rec is extremely vocal, and they need to be. They absolutely need to be, given the fact that they're sitting on match point. Staring down match point. They are technically sitting on it. Both teams are.
Yeah.
But they're not the team that's going to do all that well. Anyway, while we get everything sorted out, you got to see Luminosity earlier. Well, how about Reciprocity? Get familiarized with one of the other teams that are playing in this tournament.
Hi everybody, I'm Fox from Reciprocity. This is Retro, Nyx, Lax, and Vert. So our journey to USN wasn't as hard as a lot of other teams. The only team that we really played against was Rogue, and we ended up stealing one of their players. So it's been pretty straightforward, and now we have a lot of time to practice for the other teams, and hopefully we're just gonna go out there and do our best. Team USA would mean a lot to us just because we were really close last year to getting close to competing for that title, and Rogue was actually the team to win it, so also for Vert, I'm sure he wants to win it again, and we also want to be the new Team USA. I mean, I really wish I could say like another team is like our biggest rival. I guess I would say like probably DZ, because we kind of made a switch in some way. But honestly, I don't really consider any other team a rival. We're just going to go out there, play our game. We're really using this event to just better ourselves and see how the competition is. So I think a huge aspect to be on a winning team is you have to have great chemistry. You have to be able to enjoy each other's presence and being able to work together. Also having every individual wanting to be the best they can. And I feel like a lot of players lack that. And so I think once you find a roster that's good, can compete at a high level, and also cares as much about the game, then I think you're solid. And I think that's what we got here.
Reciprocity found themselves success in map number 1 and had a rocky start in map number 2, but with the tactical timeout, they've got an opportunity to regroup because they have found themselves a little bit of momentum, but will that momentum allow them to walk away with the map dub? Of course, I'm Jump. I'm joined here for the Mountain Dew AMP Game Fuel Analyst Corner with Rams and Veli. Gentlemen, it is so close of a chance for Luminosity to send it to a map number 3, but Reciprocity is certainly saying, nobody, not just yet.
Well, it's still looking pretty close because of the fact that we're starting to see Dokkaebi, Lion, and Jackal. Like Rams and I were talking about, they're playing the long game. They're not trying to get the instant win. They're trying to wear out Reciprocity to pick up that win so we can head over to overtime.
Yeah, they're biding their time, waiting for the perfect opportunity just to win that one more round because all the pressure is on Reciprocity right now. Luminosity can just kind of sit back and wait, given that they literally flipped this matchup on its head and just took a huge lead, astronomical. And as a matter of fact, when it really comes down to it, what I'm observing from Rec that's holding them back is something that we thought we were going to see on map 1, not knowing who's supposed to drone who in, right? Because right now, I feel like because it's Villa and because you don't necessarily have to have 2 dedicated hard breachers that are your dedicated support at all times, now that they're switching around their operators, they don't know who's supposed to drone who in. Yes, they might have talked about it beforehand. Yes, they might have scrimmed this map and tried to practice a few things on it. But right now, they just look so discombobulated, not really knowing what they're supposed to do. Nobody's doing anything effective on attack. On defense, they're starting to crawl back. But like I said, all the pressure is on them. So there really isn't a lot of opportunity for them to just kind of like think, oh, maybe I should make this play. If they're saying maybe in their mind, they're not going to do it, and that could be a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
You also have to consider what we see. Of course, you have 3 of the last 4 rounds going in Reciprocity's favor. So close of a chance for Luminosity, of course, to walk away with that. But I want to throw back to somebody that you talked about at the beginning of the day with Laxing. We made the comparison when we were looking at him versus Slash and the fact that he isn't making these open frags because his job, point in a direction and wait for people. Has that play style allowed them to find difficulties in this second map?
No, not at all. Luminosity, they slowed their gameplay down so much, especially when they were on defense. Slash Hug pretty much dominated Reciprocity. We saw the master bedroom push when he was hiding in bathroom and they jumped through the window and closet.
That was Rexon. When he
Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah,
Rexon, sorry about that.
When they all jumped in.
And Slash Hug, he did a really good holding steady as well, getting the peaks for the 1 kills. And it was really, really good. Luminosity, can they keep with this kind of heat if they go to a third map? That's going to be the biggest question for me.
Well, you also have to think about football. We talk about the topic of icing the kicker. And the momentum that Luminosity had has been stopped with Reciprocity, of course, winning the last 3 of the 4. Now with a tactical timeout, does that reset the momentum or does that allow Luminosity to keep pushing themselves forward?
I think Luminosity is going to stick to their game plan because all the pressure is still on Rec no matter what. Regardless of how much time either team has, Luminosity still has a cushion of rounds. They could still lose the next round and still be on match point and have all the pressure still on Rec. So also, I think the icing is really happening to Rec.
Yeah, that's a really scary position to be in, though. If you're on match point, you're not able to secure that win. Every loss you get, and they start to get closer to taking it overtime 6-6. I mean, each loss is going to hit that much harder. You don't want to get to that point.
But if you're Luminosity and you have 1 round left to go, now that you find yourselves having this large chunk of time where you don't have to worry about anything, what do you come into with this next round? How do you ensure that sometime between now and the next 3 rounds, you walk away and you get the one that you need?
I say just keep playing the way you are. Play patient. Let them come to you and wait for them to make a mistake.
Right. Read into their play style of what they've been doing in the last few defensive rounds and just try to either counter it directly or just play more patiently and just stick to the basics. We talked about Luminosity not sticking to the basics on the first map. In this map, they've been sticking to the basics, and they've also been doing a lot of shield play. You know, like their deployable shield placements have been, impeccable.
Yeah.
Always in very obscure, I don't want to call it obscure locations, but definitely in locations that they're not typically seen, and they eat up attacker utility and delay the Reciprocity attack. But now that they're on attack themselves, they just need to try to get into Reciprocity's head, and I think that's why they're picking ops like Jackal, Lion, Dokkaebi.
All right, well then, you know what? Let's look forward a little bit. If this does end up going in Luminosity favor and we are forced to go to a map 3 on border, what does that mean for Reciprocity as far as the momentum that they had and quite obviously being stopped?
There's so many times we see teams go to the third map, and everything you saw in the past really isn't going to carry over to the third map. So, I mean, that's pretty much it.
I think this is just a bad map for Reciprocity, and if they go to border, I think that we'll just see a more experienced Reciprocity team on a map that they've been playing on since competitive has been around.
I mean, this is Reciprocity's map, though. They decided to go with this. They had plenty of other options. Why would they go to a map that they're uncomfortable with?
This is a new team, essentially. You pick up 2 players, and you change up the roles a lot. There's a lot of role changes. You see a lot of Laxing on Echo the first map. Over here, he's playing a lot more differently. So they're still trying to gel together, just like we saw with Dark Zero. Just because your team is stacked doesn't mean you're going to get the guaranteed win.
Yeah, so a lot of times roster changes, even if it's just one person, can alter the way that a team plays on a map. It could have been their best map for the longest time, and then they change one person, and now it's their worst map. We've seen it in the past for multiple teams. This isn't anything new in terms of, the way teams change and the way their map pools differ.
All right, well, we're done. We're ready to rock and roll. It's back into the map we go. That's going to do it from us at the Analyst Corner. We're going to kick it back to Emzo and Intero.
Thank you so very much. And we're back in game now. Woo! Still match point for Luminosity. Nothing has changed. As the analyst said, they want to get it done with. They want to get under their skin. That's what you see the Lion or Dokkaebi or Jackal or whatever's going to come out.
They still have to pick the same op, so he's doing the same 6.
Yep.
Of course.
That's correct.
Laxing sneaking onto that Echo there.
Defenders,
So,
protect your bombs from being
We'll see. I mean,
defused by
Laxing
attackers.
at least will be immune to the phone calls, so there is that. But that's a far cry from having any kind of real advantage here. But the Echo and the Maestro combined. Now, usually one of those is banned. So having both of those could be pretty powerful here. But using both those operators requires not having your gun out. You have to go onto your little phone there and either be on your Yokai drones or your Maestro cams in order to use those. So because of that, they could also take some of the players out of action for just moments that are necessary. So, you know, advantage, disadvantage. The upside is both of those cameras are usable by dead players as well. So that will give some extra intel for some callouts, for some potential clutch plays if it comes down to a clutch kind of situation. So that will definitely help. Not to mention the Gumans will also help with that as well. So, see what we can do. With 8 kills so far in this match, Doodle has already quadrupled last year's USN kill total of 2. So Doodle, good to you. Trying to improve day by day. They get a count here, so that's what they're talking about. Get some lands under their belt here. And,
no Owen jokes.
No Owen jokes today.
Has Veli done an Owen joke yet?
No, we haven't got there yet. I mean, there's been a lot of zeros in terms of map scores, at least.
I was waiting if this was like a 6-1 when it was when it was 6-1. I'm thinking to myself like, oh man, I can't wait to see if Veli like has any props or any witty one-liners. And then I mean Rek's been making it a little bit closer, so it's not been.
Well, that doesn't help.
That does not help at all. Foxy going down early on, and that's your lesions. So information control, that's all going to be gone. Of course, the plant denial as well. But Factor with an opening kill to give his team a significant advantage, looking to close this one out and propel us towards border, which will be map number 3.
Yeah, Fox definitely likes to roam on this map quite a bit. Getting taken off early will give them a bit more map control. Most of the other players upstairs just trying to set their positions up. They are pretty spread across the top of the map, so it will be on Rex in here to make sure he catches footprints. He is going to catch something in his foot, all right. Deployable shields actually now being utilized by Reciprocity as well. They were talking about deployable shields being used by Luminosity pretty effectively, so we'll see if Reciprocity could do the same. That one at the top of stairs could be a bit problematic to deal with. Factor opening up some movement for himself as well with those holes. But again, most of the players upstairs here, and Rexon, he needs to get up here and try to fight towards 90. Vertical's going to be the one to try and deny that if he gets in a fight.
Can't tell who was exactly that tagged Nyx up, but he'll take a tiny bit of damage, not too much, and nothing really to worry about here. Maxing far off site, so if he gets found out, then he's in trouble, but he's going to just sit on his Yokais and be able to do some long-range damage. He's in the weird connector spot that's over towards Master that can watch the B-bomb doorway.
Time to ring some ears.
Just a lot. You got to respect the patience here.
Yeah.
It's exactly what happens. 45 seconds, there hasn't really been all that much. Why? Because both teams know the stakes at the moment. So, all still onto drones, waiting to see if there's anybody in the back end of the bar. Perfect time for a smoke canister to come out. Ooh. Yokai's still up, so these are going to be incredibly important. Nyx guns down Hyena, phone calls go off, and it's a rush from LG into the site. 2 from Rexon as he shuts down Nyx and Retro. The door is closing on a comeback from Reciprocity. They've only got 2 against 4. Can the Yokai be the savior? Doodle going for the plant, vertical, coming back in. Factor goes down, relaxing, so no Yokai. Also Doodle falling, but the diffuser is down, so the damage might be done here. Yokai's being moved in for more intel as the very final logic bomb goes off. Vertical backs away. About a third of the way through the diffuser at this point. 2v2, Rexon taking some damage early on. He's not at full HP, neither is Laxing. Very intense moments. Could we see a map 3, or is there going to be a miraculous comeback? Laxing guns down Rexon. Where's Slash? Diffuser going down to Slash. No, he pushes in. He gets stopped for the time being, and it looks like Vertical might actually be able to pull this one off. Oh my God, Reciprocity. How do you manage to make that one work? Slash just didn't have the right call, and even though it looked very firmly in the grasps of Luminosity, they grabbed defeat from the jaws of victory.
That was a bit of a long shot. Laxing really burned time. I mean, Vertical did a great job defending from the classical hallway door into games, but Laxing, yes, he gets a kill on the stairs and then just switches to his Yokai. Despite the diffuser already being planted, decides instead to get intel to make his play. Now, that obviously turned out to be the right move, but it burned up so much time. They cut that so close. But having the angle there, you saw the race as well. They Slash and Laxing racing to who can get into games first to fight each other. That was just about as close as you can cut it. However, now, that puts it 2 rounds away from overtime from Reciprocity being able to bring this back. You talked about the side switch being a big factor here. It definitely has been. We're starting to look more and more possible like overtime could happen here. We could still see this not go to border. That being said, these have been some close rounds. It's not like a Reciprocity been running away with these defenses nearly as well as we saw from Luminosity. So overall, Luminosity is still faring much better, and all it takes is closing out one of these rounds, one of those clutches to not fully work, and that's it for this match.
I don't know what was going on with the team communication for Slash, if just he didn't want to push because he knew that Laxing had the angle. That's a confusing and challenging spot to be in. I mean, Laxing doesn't win that, or Laxing doesn't lose that, right? Slash is in such a tough spot that you use the DMR, you have one shot to hit on the suppressed MP5 with an ACOG. Maybe you'll go ahead and use the C75, but that's about it. You don't really have a lot of options, so. Yeah. With an Aviator win under their belt, Reciprocity has now put 3 in a row, so it'll be another trophy defense. But like a lot of teams, you'll block off the Aviator/study area. Teams will have to go through there first.
It worked pretty well for Vertical last time. He was playing in there at least.
I think he had 3 or 4 kills, if I recall correctly. Laxing's been droned out, he's been flashed, and he's being jackal tracked. If LG is not able to capitalize on this, then they are wasting an awful lot of time. Vertical is now with him. Nick's guns down factor, so opening kill will go to Team Reciprocity. All right, not bad at all. Now Slash is down too, and somehow Rec is managing to turn this one around. Not just because Villa's defender sided, but I feel like Luminosity is going to start to lose that level of momentum that they had earlier.
Certainly that break did not help carry the momentum, but I mean, if anyone, the momentum was actually in Reciprocity's side, at least in terms of rounds at the moment. But there we go.
Oh my.
Just peeks out and goes right back in.
Oh my. Next on deck is Rexon. If he doesn't watch, he's tantalizingly close to Vertical, who now hears the C75. Nyx guns him. There's 3 for Nyx. Last one inside a study. Almost a flawless round. Won't happen. And Laxing shuts down Hyena. Look at Rec. There's the emotion that you need. There's the fury that you need. They're 1 away from tying it up and sending us to overtime. 4 in a row from Reciprocity.
I got to imagine if Reciprocity can close that gap and get that 1 round, just the sheer excitement and momentum might be enough to carry them through overtime. Just the comeback at that point. You're going to feel unstoppable. Now, of course, that could backfire on you, don't get me wrong, but a team with such heavy fraggers and some really strong confidence players like Reciprocity has, that will really help. But, it could go either way, too. We have to, find out who's starting on defense, because defense has obviously been at the advantage here, to say the least. Slash going to decide that Dokkaebi didn't work so well last time, going back to the line via 6th pick here.
Defenders, protect your bombs.
And, of course,
by attack.
we go back downstairs, as they cannot play Trophy or Aviator again. So back down to dining we will go.
The location of a bomb.
As you said, they've done a tour, so they've been able to defend all the sites. Aviator was their only weakness in terms of defenses so far, but they did manage to shore that up.
I was trying to think, this was when the last time we saw Kitchen was when it ended up being a blowout and they killed like 3 or 4 people in a row.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, and it was just essentially a slaughter at that point, so.
10 seconds remaining.
I mean, we'll see how it goes. Some of those, again, really depend on those opening kills going Reciprocity's way.
I think the real turning point right now was that round 10. Number 1, not just because if they lose it, then they lose the whole matchup, but the momentum that comes with that. It wasn't even just that they won the round. It's the way they did it. You're in a post plant. It was what? It was a 2v3, and you don't even need to take Slash out. You could just go for the diffuser, retake the site, and there's nothing that they can do on attack.
Yeah.
That's a deflating moment for LG when they were basically seconds away from sending us to border. Now, with how defender-sided this would be, if that we go to overtime, remember that teams do get to pick which side they start in OT.
Gee, I wonder which they would pick.
I mean, it's more just which team would pick it. Which team is going to be, I guess, lucky enough to get that fateful side choice. Because obviously, they're going to want to go to defense twice.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, we have seen trends switch in overtime because everyone's gotten to see every defense and gotten an idea how things are played. They've done all the full tour. They can make some adaptations. So that is generally when we see the side switch and then sides unlock. But that being said, this has been so defensive sided. I don't know if trends would even switch in overtime, assuming we make it that far. I am interested to see Fox here on the pulse this time. I think that will help anticipate these attacks a little bit better. Hopefully his C4 lands where he intends it to land, though, because that will be very impactful if he can manage to do a bit of damage from below. But he could also just bide his time here, making his call out. The Lion going to slow him down, but he doesn't have to move to use this.
I think the Hibana who is being spotted there of Doodle is actually outside, so a C4 wouldn't be able to do all that much. The Lion is, I guess, break glass in case of emergency, and here that's exactly what they're doing. The Dokkaebi is obviously not working, so why not go for the EOD and try to pin them down? Upstairs, there isn't really much emphasis from the defenders. They're all primarily on that first floor, but you've also got Laxing down below. There goes a C4, and it's going to miss. The airmail not connecting at all. Retro's the only one who's taken a single scrape, and there's a minute to go. Match on the line. Luminosity could send us to border with a victory here. If not, we go to overtime and see which team was smart enough or shrewd enough to pick defense twice. Another body spotted by Foxay on the sensor. Laxing going back to his old formation of roaming endlessly. Nyx has sustained so much damage as well, so he's a single gunshot away from death. And that could be a problem if Luminosity are able to find him. 30 seconds now and not a whole lot of action. Luminosity changing things out. Going for a rotate over towards the kitchen side. Still 2 EODs left, and I mean, you're getting into a position where unless you go for an execute, you're not going to be able to use the second one as there's a cooldown between them. There will go some of the soft destruction, and Rexon finds vertical. So Team Reciprocity will have to battle from behind. LG needed that opening frag, but they lose it immediately. They lose 2, actually. They trade it off. It's a 3v3 as it's a double kill that comes out from Rexon. A third from Rexon as he's just adding to his tally. EOD goes, 1 second left. Slash getting the diffuser down. You're going to have to prevent it to some extent. Nyx gets Hyena. No! There goes Slash, and Nyx will get the huge final frag. Slash completely oblivious and completely vulnerable. And that's 5 rounds in a row. No diffuser down. Overtime for both of these teams.
That is how you do it. 5 rounds in a row to start things out for LG. Then we get the old switcheroo. Rec wins 1, then LG wins 1, and then 5 in a row again for Reciprocity. Talk about a mirror match. This has certainly been one, but the defense first goes over to Reciprocity. That is huge advantage for Reciprocity. If the trend continues, good luck to LG. Lion can only do so much for you here, because eventually you get caught.
That was such a rough spot to be in, and you know, I don't think Slash was the intended planter, because you were probably going to want to use another EOD, and he couldn't use it when he's vulnerable getting that plant down. So dire straits to find yourself in if you're Luminosity. You've squandered a lead that looked almost unthrowable, but in this case, it's been not a throw of the century by any stretch of the imagination. You got a 5-1 scoreline on one side of the things, and 5-1 scoreline on the other side of things. So, as I mentioned, it was Slash himself who even said, if you go 5-1, or you go down 1-5, or you even go down 6-0 or something along those lines, it's still doable. It's just extremely challenging. And of course, it's Reciprocity against Slash's team. Talk about the coincidental nature of that. Who's able to pull it off. So, Reciprocity, if you're a fan of the orange and white squad, they're going to get 2 cracks at defense. Now, you're right. Sometimes we do see things flip on their head. But if not
at that momentum.
With the momentum that Rec have right now, LG on their heels, they've been pushed off the point. This is going to be a major challenge for them to be able to overcome that. This is where I think LAN experience really comes in.
Yeah.
Against a team that is well-versed, well-prepared, and has a ton of experience. This kind of deficit is still demoralizing, but you've been there before, you can combat it.
You look at players like Laxing, who was part of winning the first Invitational.
I mean, they certainly never had to battle from behind. They won 10-0.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, like the experience, that's how far it goes back for these players. These guys have been around. And that, I mean, you don't go 10-0 by being bad at LAN.
No, absolutely not. And I mean, you talk about how good players like Skies, like Laxing, when they were together are. And I mean, you might not have Skies on this team, but you still have Laxing, who's very consistent on LAN. Foxay never really disappears. Nyx, Retro, and Vertical have still been making names for themselves. Retro was very consistent for a period of time, and I think has made a resurgence. Luminosity, you've got Slash. There's a major imbalance in experience when you just look at these 2 rosters. Speaking of Slash, first EOD will go off, trying to secure a frag onto Retro, who will have to peel off of Astro. He'll be supported by a Yokai drone now, shotgun out, and just wait very patiently. He'll rely an awful lot on Nyx's calls, who now takes some damage himself. Drone comes up, and Retro will do some, I guess you could say, full court press. A little bit of offensive, defensive maneuvers, throwing the smoke down on the bottom of those Astro stairs, and then we'll have to head on back up.
I like the idea of denying the bottom of these stairs as much as possible. We know how good Smoke Shotgun can be on stairs from when we see it on Consulate. This is a good angle for him to be playing. And just denying Ash the ability to run up those stairs, keeping Astronomy secure, you need that at backing on Trophy here. Nyx is, doing a great job supporting that with that drone. So far, though, Nyx and Retro have taken the most damage, but Fox even has taken a little bit, whereas no one on the attack has.
Laxing is looking to lurk up and possibly catch them, but both Rexon and the Jackal of Factor work together to take out Retro. Now Nyx is down as well, and Luminosity is their best shot at being able to overcome the deficit that was created over the last little while. Almost a flawless round, actually, as now Laxing and Fox A have been traded out. Vertical in a 1v5. What's he going to be able to do? He guns down Slash, can't grab a second. Luminosity manages to break the trend, and now they'll sit back on match point. It's a successful attack, and Reciprocity's momentum seems to dry up at the worst possible time.
Definitely not the position to be in, and there's the trend side switching. So we'll see, though.
You were right.
I don't want to be. I want the trends to continue because it's exciting. But at the same time, that just makes it this much closer. It's anyone's game at this point. Obviously, it's not LG's game to win just yet. If they do win, then they only go to the next map. But still, it's an interesting position to be in. And that was, of course, Reciprocity not going to their quote-unquote worst site, which would have been Aviator Games. They went to Trophy and now have finally lost it. Aviator going to be the site here for LG to go to. The Maestro 6, interesting choice there.
Attackers
Instead
need to
of
locate
teasing
and
the dock
defuse
there.
as many bombs as
May have
they
been
can.
audible or may have been just a purposeful misdirection. We are going to have the Mozzie in play again, though. That was pretty useful. It's interesting that the Reciprocity don't decide to bring out the Lion, don't be the Jackal, just to kind of see if they could give them a taste of their own medicine. But they have the lineup they want to use. They're going to use it. Nyx has played a pretty good Ashe in the past, and definitely something to work with here. See if he can make it happen, though. It's definitely going to be a lot of pressure to try and bring 2 rounds in a row here if they can. Because, of course, you worked so hard to get to overtime. You brought 5 rounds in a row. Last thing you want to do is lose this map now.
5 seconds left.
If we need it, Border is up as our 3rd map. And what do we have in store for it? Well, it was banned 13 times by Team Reciprocity, and they have a 2-0-3 record on it. Versus Luminosity, who banned it 7 times and have a 1-0-3 record on it. So neither team, as of late, quite proficient on Border. So who knows what chaos will unfold. I don't think we expected this to go as deep into 14 rounds. We've now casted what? We casted 15 rounds.
We're getting all the long ones.
14. We do. Maybe
I feel like
it wasn't.
Flynn.
Maybe it wasn't his curse. Maybe it was yours. Ooh. So you ever consider that?
On the last page of the night.
Oh, Nyx was so close to the kill, but he doesn't see Doodle. We could tell from the eye tracker that he knew somebody was up there, but where exactly, that was the question. Opening pick goes to Luminosity yet again. If you're a fan of Reciprocity, you don't really want any of that.
Yeah, the opening pick has been pretty important. We talked about it earlier, but especially in this match, I feel like for Reciprocity, getting the open pick is a huge deal. And losing it, of course, really going to put you down. It's a little bit of utility loss. The Ashe isn't the most utility-heavy operator necessarily. That means some barbed wire that'll be harder to deal with, for example. And that could be a bit of a problem when you need to hit the barbed wire. And that's going to take some time, expose yourself a little bit. It's not the worst, but definitely not going to help here. Obviously, losing someone like Buck, for example, would have been a bit more of a loss. See them trying to work on this. At least they're not trying to push in Gun Vault this time.
Very close to being able to spot the Smoke, who's playing behind the deployable shield, but he can't really do too much with it. Slash has been down and gets finished off. He's not going to be able to combat the play from Fox A or Retro working together. Still have the deployable shield in the way. It'll be a nuisance that's going to need to be removed at some point. 90 control will be tough to establish for Rec because there's an Evil Eye playing at the end of it. And Factor is babysitting it as well. So even if you manage to take the Evil Eye out, you still have somebody that can swing on you. It'll be staring very intently at Vertical, as you still have a bit of the study being opened up. Still hard destruction left. A minute to go and you're not going to have clear passage because of the metal wire in between. I don't know if the Evil Eye was able to get taken out or not, as Factor decided to be very aggressive on Vertical, takes 25% of his HP away. Rec, for the time being, stuck inside of study. They'll wait. I don't think they know what the next move is. Rexon is playing on main stairs. You'll have to have somebody creep up on him, and it's going to be Laxing. Can he possibly do some damage here? He sees him, guns him down. waiting for somebody on 90.
Attackers have dropped
Laxing can't re-engage, so Laxing's just gonna sprint right in. Does he have sight control? He takes one down, but it's Factor to retake. 3 for Rec, and Laxing will get it. We're gonna go to 15 rounds. Reciprocity capturing the emotion and the intensity again, and the attackers now with the upper hand here in overtime.
Those trends switching. It's certainly switching around here, but anyone's game for this last round. Now really coming down to the end. Do we go to a map 3, or do we move forward with Reciprocity and send LG home?
What's your guess?
Honestly,
Take a stab at it.
given the history of Reciprocity, they either win here or they win border. I don't see LG coming back from just so much just dominance early on, and then the comeback here from Reciprocity. They know in their hearts they can win, and that's something that LG don't have the experience of. Maybe Reciprocity haven't won a ton of lands, but they've done fantastic at the ones they've played at, and that bodes well. But that being said, there's mistakes being made from both
Defenders,
sides.
protect your
There's
bombs
mistakes
from
being
being defused by
capitalized on
attackers.
from both sides. That last round absolutely could have gone the other way, and Laxing has been the hero a couple times now, something we've really come to expect from Laxing at this point.
That unpredictable play style that we've referred to so many times. This is where you take your shot of Mountain Dew, by the way.
Get out.
Okay, there you go. Get into it. We, as we sell out for the sponsors, of course.
Bomb located
No, this
by
is where we
attackers.
once again reference his somewhat unorthodox lurking style of gameplay, and it works very effectively if the team can support it. And so far, Luminosity over the last 2 rounds haven't been able to contain it, or many rounds actually, given how many defenses Rec ran roughshod over top of LG.
Attackers are heading out. to
One
defuse
final
bomb.
kick at the can for Luminosity to send us to border. They sat on match point for so far 6 rounds. They have not been able to send it back yet.
I find it interesting that they've just given up on the Jackal. They're still going to go with the Lion. Where Rexon instead going to play a bit more aggressive on the Ashe. I mean, we'll see if that pays off or not, but I feel like the Jackal's going to give you a bit more utility. Seeing those footprints pretty helpful on a roam-heavy map sometimes.
It's good. He's, like you say, he's got a good gun. He's got secondary utility in the shotgun as well
You
as
mentioned the smokes,
as
yeah.
well. And, I mean, we haven't really been seeing a lot of diffusers going down. By my count, there's only been 1, maybe 2 planted so far. 3 planted in this entire matchup, if I'm correct.
It's kind of the opposite of the SSG match.
Absolutely. Retro in trouble here at Classical Hallway. This is a strategy that we saw the Sonics use against Rogue previously, and he's going to lose his shelter and have to scamper off. This is an Aviator defense for the very final round here of Villa. There could be a longer road ahead of us. If not, well, Western Conference Playoff number 1 will go in favor of Reciprocity, and then they await the winner of Evil Geniuses versus TSM. Pressure from both 90 as well as the top of Classical Hall. Rec is slowly getting pushed off of their positions of strength. Drones being denied left and right, and down goes Retro from Rexon. Oh my, on an Ashe charge, well placed. That's an opening pick for LG that could be quite effective. The C4 just narrowly missing as LG goes back on drones. They have half of the round to play with.
It's not looking good here. Like you said, that half of the round to play with, that's the important part. They've killed the smoke already. It's really going to be down to Laxing in terms of delaying at this point. Yes, they've got a Maestro. He only creates so much delay. It's those Yokais they've got to worry about. They do have an IQ to spot them, though, and the line to help lock down his ability to rotate manually.
I haven't really seen anything towards 90 that would give me cause for concern if I were vertical. I think Rexon's job is to take 90 now, but Factor's up there as well. So, we could see a very quick pick on the vertical, and there it is. LG in full control, swinging in 90 is good. There goes Nyx as well, 5v2. Could we see a flawless round to send us to the another third map? No? Yes? Foxay's down, and there it is! A flawless round. Luminosity had so many opportunities. They choked all of them except for the last one, the one that matters most. And Border will await us. The first map 3 of the day will be coming up in just a couple moments. Long faces on Rec's side. A hell of an impressive comeback, but close doesn't count for much.
We go from 10 rounds of defensive wins to 3 attack wins in a row. There's that switch. You can't predict overtime.
So, What about Border? Well, you know that LG is going to be playing with a lot of motivation, as will Rec. It's pretty much a wash, but we've got the analyst corner ready to take us through what we saw. There was 15 rounds for them to dissect, so I'm sure they've got quite a lot to say.
We definitely have a lot